What's going on, Aquarius Moon Tarot family? Welcome to the new channel. Now, before we go too deeply into anything, this isn't going to so much be tarot or oracle. Though that will be included, this is more towards workings, how to get through certain things in life. And tonight I wanted to talk about the transitioning of one's path and how from going from one to another can actually lead you down a road to some of the deepest, most healing shadow work that you have ever come across. Especially if the paths kind of disagree by the eyes of man and woman. So, in front of me, we're going to talk about endurance, how that is vital to shadow work. And of course, I'll be including other tomes, other spiritual books, but today I decided to bring forth the Bible, one of my most protective talismans, the Hexagram of Solomon, and a Preonite crystal. That Preonite helps me delve deeper into it. At the end of this video, I'll be mentioning a specific archangel. So if you're interested in the archangel, I'm tossing you a name. It's up to you to go forth and look it up. So the way I really got into my most recent shadow work, is many people know, is, you can see it on my page. On my channel, it's kind of sporadic. Was going from one path to another, and the original path that I walked in reality is kind of like by the standards of humans, good versus evil, above versus below, the infernals. But the most interesting thing that triggered this was actually a guide that has been with me since the dawn that I can remember, and how she led me towards this path. But not so much, well, I won't say to this path, but back towards this tome. It's not so much about repenting for sins and changing your path. It's more on the lines of engaging the tome from a purely magical and spiritual tradition. Many witches, magicians, root workers, so forth and so on, etc., 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 people that engage in hoodoo, Anakian magic or Enochian magic. Many of them find themselves looking through certain scriptures and or psalms. So when I see things like Psalm 51, like a cleansing prayer, and Psalm 91, protection from evil, I don't look so much from the aspect of evil or cleansing, aka removing of sin, as removing of an actual sin. 333 for the record. I look at it more on the lines of removing stagnant energy, as any other cleansing or banishing might do. Now, some might tap on, the Psalms that have Adonai in them. Some might include Yeshua, some might include Lord, some might include God. But I personally just keep it with God or Lord. And then in my mind, I visualize certain things that connect with my path, or this current, actually. I personally see nothing wrong with this current. This current is deeper than just one path. It's deeper than Baptist. It's deeper than Catholicism. It's deeper than Christianity. It's deeper than Judaism, in my opinion. And no disrespect to those paths at all. But when one truly sits down and starts to study the tome, whether it's the Holy Bible or another tome, you really get to where you need to be. 1 second, my music cut off. All right, interesting. So in a nutshell, we're going to jump into this. What I'm going to do is read Psalm 51, and then I'm going to go into the experience, etc., 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 and then end it out with one card, well, a couple, you never know, and Psalm 91 just to cleanse it. And I'll be speaking about how this leads down into the shadow work. So, Psalm 51, you can look at it from many positions, but we'll look at it from an occult, I guess prayer invocation. Have mercy on me, O God, according to your steadfast love. According to your abundant mercy, blot out my transgressions. Wash me thoroughly from my iniquity and cleanse me from my sin. For I know my transgressions and my sin is ever before me. Now, I know a few wanted me to break this down and things of that from my point of view. Now, sin and transgressions, and certain things have been written in the days where people had a very narrow mindset. So when I see sin, I think of just stagnant energy. Maybe you've ran into some emotional vampires. Maybe you've had a bad day. So, if you do flow with the sin, that's your thing. If you flow with, you came into this world in sin, that is your right. But from an occult point of view, from what I've seen, the garden isn't so much a physical place, but it's an astral paradise, and it's right before you incarnate down. So if you want more information on that, you can look that up. That's just a brief little take on it. The astral garden to me has always been the Garden of Eden. So we'll get back into it. For I know my transgressions and my sin is ever before me. Against you and only you have I sinned or brought bad energy into my life from the outside world. What is stagnant or bad energy in your sight? Just think about that. That you may be justified in your words and blameless in your judgment. Behold, I was brought forth in iniquity, and in sin did my mother conceive me. It's an occult term, in my opinion. Behold, you delight in the truth and the inward being, the inner heaven. The truth is like the sword, if you think about it. Just on any level, the truth can cut deep. And depending on your truth and how things roll in your path, so forth and so on. And you teach me wisdom in the secret heart. You can look at that from the heart space. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. So let's slow that down in reverse. Purge me with hyssop, and I shall be clean. Wash downs, ritual baths. Wash me, and I shall be whiter than snow. But if you look at the symbolic aspect, no matter what path you walk, we can all agree that there's something very peaceful right after a snowfall. There's something very pure about that. Let me hear joy and gladness. Let the bones that you have broken rejoice. Purely mental, purely emotional, in my opinion. Think of the pain that happens when bones get broken. Now move that over to blockages, or how the truth from, your guides, your protectors, and your protectresses, whether you're Wiccan, pagan, Christian, so forth and so on, how those truths cut deep. Hide your face from my sins. Who's ever done something and felt ashamed? Who's ever walked a specific path and felt that they let their spiritual guardians down? I think we've all been there, where we do so well and then we just suddenly bomb out on a test. So look at it like that. Blotting out all my iniquities is healing, removing mental and emotional blockages, in my opinion. I don't look at it from a, actual standpoint of the devil or anything of that nature. I look at it from an occult point of view and how it can be used. Now, it's not really going to kick like a mule because I'm just breaking down certain things because I don't want it to come across as, how'd you go from tarot and, the craft and this. This is just one of many ways to tap into what you're doing. And also, with a candle or a strong mind, you can just sit down with this and do do amazing things. And you don't even have to, I know plenty of Christians that conjure as well. So create in me a clean heart. Help renew the spirit, help renew the body, help to just get rid of those things, the cleansing that you will go through, spiritual crying or tears, and renew a right spirit within me. Think about when you go to sleep, before you go to sleep, and how you pray, or if you pray, but how the realm of sleeping is so undocumented outside of spirituality. We have basic understanding, but they really don't focus on it. Think about how you go to sleep and wake up renewed. Now, mind you, you might kind of wake up sucky, but you see where I'm going with it. You're just tired, you had a headache, long day, you know. Restore to me the joy of your salvation, reconnection to the higher self, reconnection to the path, getting away from your darkness. To me, hell isn't an actual place, it's an absence from God. It's an absence from God. And you can take that and apply that to the goddess, the Christ, Allah, Horus, Thor, whoever it is that you connect with, that you go to for shelter, Lilith, Hecate, so forth and so on. Then I will teach transgressors your ways. Now, think about that. How much crap have we gone through going through the shadow? Then when we come out, we have a story to tell, whether you want to call it a story, a testimony. Some of us pick up cards, some of us start healing, etc., etc., etc. O God of my salvation, and my tongue shall sing aloud of your righteousness. Praise, happiness, we all give thanks. So I'm going to leave it right there and not go too deep into that, but that's just my take on that and how you can apply it. So when you really start to break that down, you can really, flow with it. Now, this is how this connected me to shadow work, and I hope that my experience and what I'm reading doesn't come off as something babbling. I used to be involved in Christianity, but I came into it not from a very not a messed up point of view, but very literal, very literal. And over time, it really kind of damaged me a bit. I was starting to be scared to get into other spiritual paths or to get back into a naturally called, born and right path. And for years, I put a lot of it down. I would cast and do things here and there and just get kind of the thrill of saying, look, yeah, I did that. Huh? But I never really delved into it until, later on down that life. One thing I've noticed when you involve yourself in path shifts or transitions of some sort, you get into shadow work. You're gonna challenge. I guess you can call it shadow work. To me, it's shadow work. You challenge some of the deepest, darkest, ingrained, constructs that truly exist. This path is wrong. Men should always be these never break down terminators. Women should just, do this and that's all they're there for. Oh, this says if you go to this path, you're going to suffer an eternal. You see where I'm going with it? And what really threw me through the shadow work was when my guide brought me back to this 333, for example. And it really just caused a lot of triggering. And some of it still does deeply trigger me. Good God. I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of in here freaking the hell out. Like full blown freaking out. And I've worked with everything from the Clipoth to Sumerian magic, Mesopotamian, Babylonian, the latest and greatest. I mean, all in. I've worked with some, what they would say to be dark goddesses. We're not going to say their names, but I think pretty sure if you do enough research, you can pretty much figure out who I'm talking about, and they're very well known. Interestingly enough, one of my, divine creatresses that just puts that lightning bolt in your brain, who in reality is so celestial, so heavenly, not the heavenly that we all know to come in love with the classics and the end of the world and all that stuff, but heavenly as in just up there, wise, sincere, a creatress of life and protectress. So pretty sure you can look her up. She's well known, and she's not so much on the rise, but she's making herself well known within the realm of women. I wanted to get into endurance and how this gets you through. Mind you, endurance isn't so much a kill yourself, work yourself to the bone, to the white meat, to the knuckles, but it's more of pacing yourself through the hardest parts of shadow work. Again, this is just one of the many avenues of how I'm shifting paths and how that does a lot of shadow work and brings back a lot of things that I thought I had overcome. And jumping into the different paths that I was in, I was looking more for answers, yes, of course, but I wasn't looking for an escape. But I really, as they would say, gained a sympathy for certain infernal beings. Some are okay and some kind of kick my ass, I'm not gonna lie. But they all taught me something. 555. But the whole time I was looking for the source of something that really wasn't there. And I thought that I overcame a lot of this. I was like, okay, I'm good. I've overcome the past turmoil of being told I'm going to go here to when I die, or, I got to do this and do that, or if I don't do this just right, or if I mess up one time, or if I, fantasize over meeting someone on that level, a completely natural thing, then I'm going to, get cast into some really crazy pit. I don't know the way I'm talking while I have this open might not really rub a few people the right way, but we all know the saying, come as you are, no matter what path that is. So one thing about endurance is everything mundane, I've noticed that no matter what path you walk, will resist at first what goes on in the spirit. Fasting, for example. You get into it, and everything's good. And then you start meditating. Then your stomach starts to growl. But one thing about endurance and how it helps you get through shadow work is in the face of adversity, it's there. It teaches you. It drags you through the pit. Look into Netzach, however you pronounce it. Netzah or Netzach. That will teach you about some things. When the force of adversity grows, we grow. When we face our path, really face our path, we grow. Some of it's scary. In fact, I think everyone's is scary. And this might pop a couple bubbles, but boy, oh boy, I can yank those spirits out of people. And my defense magic is pretty good. But there's a fellow witch, or whatever you want to call it, really can't yank those things out, but their offensive magic whoops my defensive magic's ass. And then my offensive whoops their defensive. See where I'm going with that? So it is about endurance. It's also about leadership. You can find it in leadership, victory, and exercise. Think about how one might be pushed into a position where they have to endure going through things because they're leading a team. And they have to lead that team to victory. Whether it be a physical, in-person, running a marathon victory, so forth and so on. It takes exercise. It takes fortitude. It takes really being able to go the long mile. So that's how shadow work can kind of kick off. It's like jumping from the comforts of your warm bed in February under a blanket with no heat on, and then someone just ripping the covers off and really just putting you to the test. We're going to end this out with a card. This was actually just a fly off the handle video, but it is a first video. I know it may not be for everybody, but I'm going to incorporate many different things. It's going to be more community based and more interactive and things of that nature, and less just here's your reading. Nothing wrong with that, but stay grounded. Stay emotionally grounded and understand at all given times you are surrounded by love, kindness, beauty. The path to spiritual awakening, whether you want to call it the Kundalini, it's about raising your energy. I'm not saying that you can't work earthly currents, but we all know it. Anyone that even works with Mother Earth in a very earthly setting, well, you dance yourself in a circle until your high's a kite, even if you are grounded. 222. Stay calm within the waters, and always realize that you will get to where you need to be. Shadow work will challenge you, but it's one of the very few things that all of us can focus on and have to for evolution, where it doesn't matter which path you walk, whether you read from this, so forth and so on, etc., etc., etc. Just meditate. So I'm going to end it out with a 9 in Psalm 91, and then we'll close out. This will be just to help people get some rest. If you want to have the full-blown protection from evil, that's your right. Because I'll be real, this works when there are other occultists trying to mess with you. Black and white candle, black pepper, garlic, a little bit of, see where I'm going with it. So I don't mean this so much on the aspect of, again, the biblical God, even though I do have a lot of respect for many deities of that path, or deity, whatever you choose to call him or them. So this is what I actually use to help clear my brain. He who dwells in the shelter of the Most High will abide in the shadow of the Almighty. I will say to the Lord, my refuge and my fortress, my God in whom I trust. For he will deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the deadly pestilence. He will cover you with his pinions, and under his wings you will find refuge. His faithfulness is a shield and a buckler. You will not fear the terror of night, nor the arrow that flies by day, nor the pestilence that stalks in darkness, nor the destruction that wastes at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, 10,000 at your right hand, but it will not come near you. You will only look with your eyes and see the recompense of the wicked, because you have made the Lord your dwelling place, the Most High, who is my refuge. No evil shall be allowed to befall you, no plague come near your tent. For he will command his angels concerning you to guard you in all your ways. On their hands they will bear you up, lest you strike your foot against stone. You will tread on the lion and the adder, the young lion and the serpent you will trample underfoot. Because he who holds fast to me in love, I will deliver him. I will protect him because he knows my name. When he calls to me, I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will rescue him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation. Now, this might be a very touchy subject before I leave on that, if you're still with me. There's a lot of hims and he's in there. So, ladies, if you resonate with that and you really like to flow with it, but just, like I'm not a him, I'm a her. feel free to just really flow with it. Because at the end of the day, it's about where your intention is going. If you did that whole thing and your intention is to an ancestor, well, one might pop up. If it's to a god, it might pop up. You see where I'm going with it? Or if it's just to yourself, taking each of those things, such as delivering you from the snare of the fowler and the deadly pestilence. That's life. That's what people face around the world. And you can use it to help protect your psyche against it. It can be used in so many ways. Cleansing will be key. Dance with the water. I mean, really, really, really understand that the water has healing powers. Earlier in Psalm 51, we talked about purging with hyssop, washing and cleansing. No matter what path you walk, water can be a very cleansing. It is very cleansing. There's something very peaceful with water. We all were once in the womb, right? So take your time to cleanse with water. Whatever method you so choose. This will help you gain an understanding of your balance between logic and emotion. And I heard empathy. I read something interesting that empathy isn't so much always just taking it. It's about being able to understand how to view the situation from I wouldn't say detached point of view, but from a point of view that really is good for tying into what needs to be tied into and swaying away from what doesn't. Use your passion during this time. And for many, it is time to close out old chapters. Many lessons have been learned. Many of you might feel slightly downtrodden because life is hectic. Maybe a few of you are looking for that one little bit of information. Reach to your shadow. Engage in it. Really find out what you can do to trigger it. Mine just happened to be going back to a path that does not so much agree with this path. And even though in reality it has nothing to do with us, people create things and they stick with us. You tell a child that they're not good enough when they're 2 to 9 years old and see how they do good in life. See how it, doesn't affect them. And we all know it does. So close a few chapters and be open to your shadow work. Understand that it will take endurance. It will take, and also side note, exercising. You don't have to run track or anything, but exercising really opens up your energy centers, and no matter what path you walk, we are all energy. If you don't have candles and things of that nature, it's fine. But endure and understand that while you leave one piece of your life, I'm not saying that you all are going to path switch, okay? You was using this as an example. I had to clarify that. But for those that really resonate with this, understand that by swimming through those darker waters or those clear waters, it might look clear up top, but it's always not clear down below. And even if it is clear up top and down below, sometimes it can be hard to move on. I'm going to close it out right there. Hopefully somebody like this. If so, please like, share, and subscribe. Y'all got to. Y'all got to hop over to my Aquarius. And I know this isn't for everybody. I know some people just come for readings. I think I lost like 12 or 13 subs because I've been switching it up a lot. So I do deeply apologize for that. But remember, it's not so much about the path you walk. It's how you are at the end of the day as a human being. You can walk every path. But unless you walk a path that's going to be beneficial to your heart and, you know, how can help you grow, there's no point in walking that path. And you don't even need a path to be a good human being, right? All right, y'all. Y'all take care. And I got a new reading coming tomorrow, and I'm gonna start to work on something for next week. I'm gonna touch base on the power of words and how it can be used. And your homework, Archangel Uriel, go look into them. And if you're curious, look into the feminine counterpart, Ariel. And if you want to, for example, work with all four great archangels, you can work with them in their purely masculine form or their masculine as well as feminine. I think that too much masculine energy is not good and too much feminine energy is not good. So Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, Raphael. Michael, Gabriel, Ariel, Raphael. See? Balance it out. Because at the end of the day, they will come forth in any form that works for you. Some people have said they look terrifying. I've seen a couple, and there are some scary ones. But they mean well. They're warriors of God, I guess. But that's all I got today. Hopefully this does resonate. Give it a thumbs up and a like. Help it get out there. And I got some more stuff. I'm kind of doing like a chain link blockchain thing. All right. Thanks to the 7 for all that you have done. It's your boy Aquarius Moon Tarot. And I'll talk to you soon. Peace.